I thought, why would the Explore Washington podcast want to talk to me?
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
All right. So, Jane, welcome to the podcast. We've been chatting before, getting this going. So we won't share our comments about Chicago or Detroit or anything like that. We'll talk about Washington State. So first off, thank you for being here. Can you give us the backstory of how you got started in being, I'll call you a TikTok star. Let's just give you that moniker. You are a TikTok star. How did this come about?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Scott. This is really cool. And when you first, I guess it was your daughter when she reached out to me, I thought, why would the Explore Washington podcast want to talk to me? I'm seriously just a stay-at-home mom, housewife, somebody who stumbled upon TikTok during the height of the quarantine.
Sure.
So it was March 2020. And my husband, who could not work during that time because he's a dentist and, all elective procedures were kind of shut down for 8 weeks. He was stuck at home with us and I was managing homeschooling for the kids. Suddenly finding myself having to prepare 3 meals a day for all 4 of us when I was just used to, I didn't eat square meals on a normal, typical day pre-pandemic, right? It was just make sure the kids are fed and, we're good to go. Prepare dinner. That's about it. So it was, when everything changed, I just needed something, an outlet, a creative outlet, something to get me moving. All the gyms were shut down and my gym was shut down. And when I was trying to get my mojo back, it was the first time maybe in 6 years that I started working out regularly. And I could really feel that it was so good for my mental health and physical health. And then COVID hit. So I noticed that my best friend who lives in Los Angeles was doing these dances and posting them on social media, on Instagram. But clearly, I saw the TikTok watermark and I'm like, what are you doing on that app? Like, I know what that is. Right. And she said, oh my goodness, it's so much fun. Jane, we should start to learn dances together and it'll just be a way to keep us busy. So it was all in good fun, lots of silliness. It was a mental challenge to try and remember like choreography for a 15-second dance. And I use choreography very loosely because it was, it's what the teens do, what Gen Z does. And then it just kind of, it stuck. It was so fun. And it really was kind of like a daily challenge for me. And then the more I stayed on the app, the more I discovered kind of all corners of the internet, like cooking TikTok, DIY TikTok, home improvement TikTok, in addition to the dancing. And what really spoke to me was when I stumbled upon mom TikTok or parenting TikTok, where it was just parents who were like me, stuck at home with the kids, kind of going crazy and just documenting it. Whether through funny monologues or skits. And so I tried my hand at that based on things that were happening in my own life. And then it just kind of took off from there.
Well, I think you're being modest because how many people are checking your videos out? How many people are following you?
Yeah,
it's a small number.
More than 3 million at this point. It's crazy.
Is that not, so how do you wrap your head around the fact that when you think about it this way, now maybe you'll never do another TikTok video because I'm not trying to scare you, but think about 3 million people are aware of you on some level and are paying attention to you on some level. I don't think you're getting 3 million views every video, it's not that, but that's insane. I can't wrap my head around it.
I know it. I think so I remember when it occurred to me that, oh my goodness, I think I could get 100,000 followers on here. I remember distinctly asking my husband, do you think I'll hit 100,000 followers on here? And he's like, sure. But it's just so, it was at first a very foreign concept, but I think what TikTok, what this platform gives to people on it is just that taste of virality. And it's just what the algorithm does. And it's the fact that your content, what you post, is constantly discoverable by people who may never have seen any kind of video or content from you. And so every video, I don't think the same people are seeing it necessarily. And so some of it is, it's the algorithm, it's what's proven to have been successful on your channel. And what I'm learning is that, what people initially might have come for is not necessarily what they stay for, right? Okay. Or, you constantly have to evolve on there and try new things. At first, it was definitely, I think it was parents and other moms who were finding my content and found it relatable, and then would, hit the follow button. And so I would do more content like that. After a while, though, you run out of new ideas, or you get into like a creative slump, as I call it. And, I tried doing a lot of different things. One was just documenting how I teach my kids to speak Korean, common Korean phrases. And then that took off and got a following from another corner of the platform, people who are also interested in learning Korean or are interested in Korean culture, K-pop culture, things like that. So it's interesting. I think there's that 3 million, that number, that audience. I think they're from all areas.
One of the workers is calling me.
Oh, okay. Scott, do you mind if I take a quick break? Okay.
Go ahead. You've done videos of you teaching your kids Korean. Mm-hmm. And you say people are following you because they're curious and they want to learn how to say a phrase in Korean. So it's kind of cool that you're a byproduct of you teaching your children is helping somebody else learn conversational Korean. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. I am so sorry.
You're fine. So I'm just going to put this out there, everybody. She's having work done on her house. And so we may have some background noise and people may come and go, but that's okay. That's all good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of interesting because this is a platform I jokingly say my daughter won't let me go on to TikTok. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. It's just not a platform I've paid a lot of attention to personally. Mm-hmm. But we had another guest on. I'll just share this story with you. We had another guest on, I don't know, a few months ago. And he's a woodworker out of Washougal, Washington, which is down by the Columbia River, down the Portland area. And he's blind.
Oh, wow.
And so his handle is the Blind Woodsman. And he's creating videos by himself of him working on woodworking tools, which just blew my mind. I was just like, so I'm talking to him like, how is this not like, I shouldn't be allowed to touch tools anyway with eyesight, and here's this man that's completely blind who does beautiful woodworking and he's creating his own videos. Now his wife uploads them for him, but he creates the videos and he walked me through it. And it's like, so I'm talking to him and it's just fascinating. And so I'm watching a couple of his videos and I can't get past the fact that this is a blind person.
Yes.
Working with power tools, creating art. And I'm watching and I'm looking at his videos and how many thousands of people are watching these things. And I'm having a conversation one night at dinner and my granddaughter, my wife's granddaughter, and I, she goes, "Oh, I know who she was 14 at the time." She goes, "I've watched him." Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, how fascinating is this platform that teenagers are watching this, and you've got people watching you teach your kids conversational Korean. Mm-hmm. So enough of me. Let's go back. So you started this out as a way of sanity.
Yes.
As an outlet, as an outlet. How much effort do you put into the videos? I mean, are you doing, are these freeform? Are they fully scripted? Because you were a TV news anchor. You come from the polished world, if you will. Can walk me through your process for a video.
Sure. So I want to say when I first started, it was you're kind of learning this whole world and learning the language and kind of how this platform works, what people are doing. And you're hopping on trends, viral trends, and TikTok will make it really easy for you to identify those trends. They have, they call it the Discover page with a little magnifying glass icon, and they'll tell you, here are the trending sounds, the songs, here are the trending, topics or hashtags, and you're kind of putting your own spin. So that's kind of how I would say most people start when they're learning this new app. And then the algorithm learns what kind of content you like to engage with, whether by, interacting with comments or following certain people, and will start to feed you the content that you're showing a preference for.
Okay.
And so my process, once I kind of found myself and my voice, was then gleaning from my background, my news background. And it was a lot of trial and error at first. I remember some of my earlier videos were me doing news parodies, news updates about, here's my quarantine update. And I kind of put in graphics and breaking news, music on the background. And that was a ton of effort for a minute-long video for maybe a few thousand views.
Okay.
And then when I evolved into, doing skits or writing skits out of the funny moments I have with my kids, that was, I would say maybe a couple of hours a day effort from conception all the way to actually filming it, editing it, and posting it. And
so when you film and edit, are you using just your phone for this, or are you running it through?
You can do it.
How sophisticated are you getting?
Yeah. So you can do it. You can be as sophisticated as you want to or not. You can do everything in app. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but there are some people who stay within the app. I'll kind of do whatever that video demands. Sometimes, so that this is where I think my background comes in handy, is the storytelling aspect of it, where I know where I want the story to go and I know what I want the shots to show. And then I determine, am I going to have to edit this outside the app just on my phone, or is it something I can do within the app? So anything that I do within the app is, very low effort.
Okay.
Right. And the thing is, the effort does not correlate with, how successful it is on the platform. So I want to say my most viral video, even to this date, was a candid conversation I had during dinner with my 7-year-old. At the time he was 6, but all I did was I flipped my phone on within the TikTok app, just thinking, this might be a funny thing. And I had the camera on me, but it's recording video and audio, and he's asking me questions. And I uploaded it right before I was going to take a shower and wash up for the night. When I checked back about an hour later, it was already in like almost 100,000 views. It was like a weird, what happened? And then when I woke up the next morning, I think I want to say I went from about 100,000 followers to like 250,000 the next morning. It's wild. So I think if you talk to every TikTok creator who has a large following, most of the time they'll have that one video or that one viral moment that catapulted them kind of onto the next level, if you will.
That's staggering.
And once you're there, then I realized I have a little bit more freedom on what I post and when I post, because your content gets pushed out to that following audience first. So there's a greater chance you build upon that. And then there's a greater chance of, that piece of content being seen by more and more people.
That's staggering to go,
Yeah.
The time that you in the shower getting cleaned up for the evening, you come back and there's been 100,000 and then you get up the next day. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to sleep. I'd have been just like watching my phone. I would not have slept that night. But you're saying you went from 100,000 followers to 250,000 in less than, say, 8 hours.
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And really, at the time I posted the video, I was probably around 80,000 followers. And I think that was the day, or the day before was the day I asked my husband, like, oh my goodness, I think I might be able to hit 100,000 followers on here, which is wild.
And then, then
when I woke up the next day, that was my scary TikTok moment, not where I am now, kind of, because I feel a little bit more, I have my footing. I kind of know who I am and know who I want to be on the app. But that morning after that big viral video, I kind of had that, where do I go from here? Is it still a creative outlet for me and a pastime?
Right.
Yeah.
So your kids, are they willing participants in this? Are they, because I haven't, like full disclosure, I have not, and I did this on purpose. I started thinking I'm going to watch some of them. I don't know. I'm not going to watch any. I will, but I want to just kind of come at this completely as a blank slate. So some of these questions, anybody that's watching is going to go, yeah, man, but this is just, I'm responding to what you're telling me. So are your kids willing participants? Are they hams, or do you have to pull it out of them? I mean, do you have to coax it out of them, or how are they?
It always depends. I think now that they have a little bit more awareness of what TikTok is, I will always ask them if they want to film something. Okay. And almost always they're totally game for it. And I'll never force them. Sure. And most of the time it's easy because it's, they kind of get that we're doing jokes or funny things or showing bits and pieces of real life. So if I tell, my son, for example, hey, remember that conversation we had at lunch? And remember how, we were cracking up? Let's try to recreate that.
Okay.
And then, I'll give him, some minimal prompts and he'll play along.
Okay.
And then sometimes it's a little bit more scripted, more structured. And I'll say, okay, here's what you'll say when I say this. This is your cue. And then we'll do that a few times. But they're almost always willing participants, and they love, they're not on TikTok, but they like watching, they call it mommy TikTok. And I have a couple of friends who are also creators on there, and they just love watching content from them.
Have your kids pitched ideas to you?
Yes.
So what's kind of what share with us a couple of, interesting, fun and creative pitches that the kids have come up with?
Oh, well, so Bennett really, my 7-year-old, he is really into his prehistoric animals.
Okay.
And every time, and I don't know if this is, I guess because I can tell by the comments from people who say, oh my goodness, that's the same at our house, or that happens to me too. But one thing that happened during quarantine was I found myself printing out nonstop, like dozens of coloring pages a day. And I have bought so many ink cartridges because we run out so often. And so I'm always replenishing the printer. And the requests of what he wants printed can be so obscure. And one day it was like, okay, Mommy, can I have a coloring sheet? And I said, sure. What would you like? Dunkley osteas. I'm like, what?
What?
Oh, a what? And he said, Dunkley osteas. It's a type of armored fish. Like just so matter of factly. And I was like, oh, I don't even know how to spell that if I were to Google that. And, my genuine confusion. And then he goes just offhandedly, that would make a funny TikTok. And so I was like, yeah, maybe it would. So then a few days later, I kind of wrote something really quick and I said, hey, you want to do that TikTok and do that skit? And so we made a TikTok based off of that. And, there were a lot of people who, I don't know, like found it funny or interesting or relatable. So it's very,
just look at my face when you said, I'm like, what the heck? I was laughing. Like
mundane things, right? But it's funny what kids find funny, and it's funny to see. So sometimes if I'm feeling like creatively depleted, I'll just kind of ask him, hey, let's think of some funny things that would make TikToks. And so he'll say, what about that one time when we, or, ...
So there's a very important question I need to ask now. Were you able to find a coloring sheet?
Yes.
Of the armored fish?
Yes.
I can't even pronounce the name. So, okay.
So context, he doesn't just know this. He watches Jurassic World.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's where, and I think that's why these coloring pages exist. And, I was so happy as a mom to be able to find that, right? Because I was sweating when he asked for that. And there were some other animals. I can't remember their names now, but he'll have really obscure things. He went through a big shark phase. So then it was like, I want, a cookie cutter shark coloring page. And I'm like, I don't know. I can find an image of it. I don't know if it's a coloring sheet that I can print, and then my daughter who has like two interests always asks me for either Daniel Tiger or Peppa Pig coloring sheets, which is super easy. Ubiquitous. So that was, we wrote that into the TikTok too, so there, almost all of my content is inspired by real life things. And sometimes they're hyperboles of what happened in real life.
But it really came about because you needed an outlet, because you were, like all of us, cooped up at home.
Yep.
Not that you don't love your kids, not that you don't love your husband, but you're not used to being around them 24/7.
Yes.
It was very, very weird for a lot of us to be around our spouses. Or this is something to me that I'll say funny, but I actually think maybe a problem. So a lot of people I know ended up getting animals during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
What are those animals going to do when they have to go back to work? They're used to the human being around. Anyway, it was a very weird time for everybody. And I think what's really cool is you found this creative way of being creative. And that you brought your kids into it, and you engage your kids, and they're participants, and you guys are having fun and all of that. Is your husband do you ever drag him in?
Sometimes.
Is he a willing participant, or do you have to like pull him in?
I do have to coax him sometimes. So I won't really put that on him. I'll always ask, and he's always been a great sport, but I won't ever force him.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't get that. I don't see any, from you, any sort of, forcing of anything. I think it's all very cooperative and collaborative.
But it's been really funny, I'll say, Scott, because the thing about like women, being a woman in today's age, you still get questions like, where is the dad? You know?
Really?
Yeah. And one of my, I want to say in some of my earlier content, if I posted a video with just me and my kids, it was always like one of the most common questions was, where's their dad? Or
really?
Are you a single mom? And, and so one of the TikToks that I did with my husband was it was a reply to comment. There's a feature where you can reply to a comment with a video.
Okay.
So it said, where's the dad? And I did a video with me kind of pulling him into the frame and us doing a dance together. And it's like, okay, you saw him. Good. Are we good? All right.
Yep. We're good. Next.
Back to regular programming.
So I want to go down this tangent, but because you brought up comments and all that. So first question is, do you share these videos on other platforms? Are you sharing this on Instagram? Do you share this anywhere else? Or are they just on TikTok?
I'll share them on Instagram if I think that it will, serve that Instagram audience well. It's a little bit different because on Instagram, it's a lot of people who know me in real life. And then my content is a little bit different on Instagram where I'm a little bit more candid about my life and kind of my values. And, it's kind of a little bit of a different space, less all entertainment and creativity that TikTok has been. So I will share sometimes, not every time. Yeah, there's just some things that the TikTok people get that nobody anywhere else gets.
Yes. Okay. So the TikTok people, that's what we'll call them. Anyway, our Instagram channel, my daughter manages it and she does a great job. And once again, so it's not a place I'm allowed to go. But we get, there's some really strange people that think nothing of saying some really just inappropriate, unnecessary things over trivial, in my opinion, things. Is the TikTok community friendlier?
It depends. I think I've heard all different things where they're actually more vicious on Instagram, whereas on TikTok, it's a lot less serious.
Okay.
But I think there are people like that everywhere, right? And so that's been a learning process, growing that thick skin or just learning to laugh it off or, just delete it or block if you don't want to see it. So that was definitely, just self-training, if you will, self-conditioning, because that's going to happen on any platform.
So 2-part question, putting you on the spot, and you might not be able to give me just one answer. I'll give you a couple of answers, and I'll give you a couple. What's your favorite video that you've done so far for you? The one that you're like, I think this one is my favorite.
Oh my goodness. That is really hard.
That'd be like me asking you to pick which one of your children's your favorite. That's an impossible question to answer. I understand, but there's gotta be, some that really you're like, this one came out and I'm just really like, yeah, that's cool. I like that one.
Yeah. So I think what a lot of people who have been with me from the early days, I say early when it has only been like less than a year and a half, was a video that I did and I titled it Too Spicy.
Too Spicy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was a way for me to show how the paradoxical element of parenting, the double standards, if you will. So it's a series, different scenes of me eating snacks and the kids asking for a taste. And I tell them, oh no, it's too spicy. It's it's too spicy. It's too spicy. And I did like chips, spicy pickles, bubbly water. And then the last scene was me holding out some kimchi and saying, you gotta eat this. You're Korean. You gotta eat. You gotta know how to eat spicy. So that was the punchline, and it landed. The joke landed for most people. But what happens every time something goes viral is you get to a certain threshold, and then the people who don't get it or angry for some reason come for you, right? So then it launched. So this kind of was the viral moment that I think made me more visible to a lot more people. It was not that overnight viral video, but it kind of was the one that helped me brand myself.
Okay.
I would say. So that's probably be, one of my most memorable videos. Okay.
All right. So the flip side of that question is, and approximately how many videos have you published now?
Oh my goodness. Probably at this point, maybe around 500. I'm not sure. If I say we're roughly, because in the beginning I would post at least a video a day.
Okay.
And it kind of was like the one thing that day had to show for, right? Is if I get anything done, I'm going to post a video.
I have my video. Okay. So you've done, we'll just say 500. Somewhere in there had to be an idea that you thought was going to be great. And it flopped.
Oh yeah.
Share one.
Okay. So I'll share one because I was so proud of it. So I shared with you that I used to do news report parodies, kind of like Weekend Update, but it's from my living room. I'm dressed like a news anchor, but, I wrote it like a news story. And that was so fun because that's what I know how to do. And I was using a different part of my brain and, trying to make it funny. So I did a couple that were pretty successful. And then I did one where, I want to do like a weather report. And it was last summer, so almost a year ago. And I'm going to make it like, like a metaphor, like hurricane, I'm going to call my kids like tropical storm and hurricane, And so I made a little bit and that just was a flop, a total flop. People just didn't get it, or it was just too long, or it was just too meta, too niche. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. No, I love asking people what doesn't work because you probably learn something from it. If nothing else, you learn, well, maybe they need to be shorter. Maybe that one was telling you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting. So during the pandemic, you guys were stuck at home a lot. Mm-hmm. So most of your stuff was filmed in the house, correct?
Yes.
Around or in the yard, maybe. Mm-hmm. Are you doing, and do you plan on doing stuff around town now?
Yes, we've been going around town a lot more. And I would say starting from last summer, really, we tried to get outdoors because we couldn't really hang out indoors with people, with our friends.
Right.
A lot of them are, a day's driving distance. Like a day trip, right? Which is like 2 hours at max.
So in Seattle, that's like 4 blocks. So you could have walked. Yeah. So how do you like incorporating things from the community into your TikToks? I mean, is that give you another palette to work with? Is that another creative outlet?
Yeah, I think I'm figuring that out. But kind of doing more vlog style videos. Okay. We did, I did a video showing kind of our favorite places around Seattle.
So let me interrupt you and just ask, because this is Exploring Washington. So where? That was a softball you lobbed to me. That was awesome. So where are some of your favorite places?
Well, we took the kids. Everyone told us when we first moved here, don't go to the Space Needle. It's not worth it. And we're like, why not? We went there several months ago and the kids had the best time. They loved the glass bottom floor, the rotating floor. And it was just a great day trip. And then we went to the Chihuly Garden afterwards, and it was beautiful. So we love a day out downtown. We love even just going out for boba or for, a quick takeout meal. Yeah, I mean, am I going to sound touristy if I say I do love going to Pike Place and picking up flowers and
No, you're not going to sound. Yeah, you are. No, no, just kidding. So, but I want to. So, okay, I haven't been up to the Space Needle in many, many years, and I wasn't there. They didn't have the glass floor.
Yeah.
But what's the building in Chicago that has the glass floor?
The Willis Tower, formerly the Sears Tower.
Right. So I went up in that, and I couldn't make myself do it. So I'm asking, how did your kids, I couldn't make my brain, I just couldn't do it. It was like just this complete, I wasn't that I was scared. Let's be honest, but it's like my joints locked up. Yeah. So how, as your son just walks by behind you, yes, and your daughter now, and I'm looking at these two little kids, young kids, and you're saying they went out on the clear floor?
They did. But when you say Sears Tower, because I've been there when they made the glass bottom, like that is just terrifying. And the Space Needle is not like that. They kind of have a, it's like a ring, a perimeter that is glass bottom, and then it rotates. So you can easily step off into where it's just solid ground, and then you can step on it for a little bit, look down. And they had a great time.
Still, I mean, I don't know that I could do that.
Yeah.
And so I think, okay, cool. There's nothing wrong with being touristy in Seattle. I mean, I've joked before that the world doesn't need another article on the Space Needle because it's been done. Same with Pike Place Market. Yeah. It's been done. But you know what? They're both of those places are, they're popular for a reason, and they're fun. And I'm sure your kids had a great time. Pike Market, when it's not packed with people, is a wonderful place I think.
Yeah. And that's kind of the beauty.
Where else do you guys like to go?
We love going, if you go an hour east of Seattle, in Snoqualmie Pass, Cle Elum area, Gold Creek Pond.
Yep.
We kind of
have you ever snowshoed out there?
No, we haven't gone there out there in winter yet.
Okay.
But it's gorgeous. I've seen pictures when it snows. Yes, it is. But that's been a favorite place for us when we have out of town visitors.
Okay. That's a great place to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll just, hang out there all day, easy hiking around the pond. And and
it's an easy drive from Seattle for the most part.
Yes.
It really is an easy drive. Yeah.
So if we're there, then we'll make a pit stop at Snoqualmie Falls.
Okay.
And then,
beautiful.
Yep. Do that. And then we'll drive through like downtown Snoqualmie. And and then come back. We'll usually stop by at a Korean market and get some like prepared food, prepared side dishes, kimbap, which is the Korean version of sushi, which always is like great picnic food.
I don't know what that is. Can you? Yeah. Would you educate me on that?
Sure.
What is that?
So kimbap is literally translated to seaweed rice, and it looks like a sushi roll, but inside it's all cooked ingredients, and it's usually like marinated beef, like bulgogi, and then egg, a variety of vegetables. So it's supposed to look really colorful when you cut into it. So it'll usually be like spinach, cucumber, pickled radish, which is yellow, usually a yellow color. So then when you cut into it, it's kind of like a rainbow of colors and flavors. So it's really delicious, and it's the quintessential Korean picnic food. So whenever we go on an outdoors hike or picnic, we'll always have to stop by a Korean market, pick up some kimbap. When I'm super motivated, I will make it at home. But if not,
is it easy to make?
It is labor. It's a little labor intensive. And it's one of those foods that made me appreciate my mom once I started to attempted to make it. And I realized, this is actually like hours of work because you have to cook.
So she just didn't whip it up in the kitchen for dinner on Tuesday night. It was an effort.
It was an effort. Yep. But as a kid, like I remember just taking it for granted, right? Or just saying like, can't I just take a sandwich on my field trip, right?
I think every kid's taking their parents for granted. Come on, I think it's So coming back to a video that you mentioned in food, the spicy and the kimchi.
Yes.
How do I want to say this? I've tried kimchi.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it I have found to be, for me, non-edible.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of it I have found to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what makes good kimchi?
The freshness of it. So it's texture and flavor and how mature it is, because it is a fermented food. And as you know, with foods that are fermented, the more it ages, the stronger and deeper the flavors get. So there's such a vast variety of kimchi. There's different names based on, if it's fresh kimchi, that's different from kimchi that you would, maybe get at the store, which comes in a jar and it ferments and it ages the longer you keep it.
Okay.
In my mind, it has to be the right kind of the right ripeness. And I don't like it super fermented when it's super sour. And I don't like it necessarily when it has just been made and fresh, because the flavors haven't had a chance to deepen. But, and there's so many different vegetables you can make kimchi with. I would say the most traditional is with cabbage, like Napa cabbage. But some of my favorite types of kimchi are chive kimchi, which is chives. Mm-hmm. They're like Asian chives. Chinese chives, I think, is what it is sold as at the Asian grocery store. But it's just so, like, the flavor is so deep, and it's so good with rice, and it's very flavorful. And then another favorite to eat with soups and stews is 깍두기, which is radish kimchi, and it's cubed radish with the kimchi seasoning, which is, always Korean red chili pepper, garlic. You always need some type of salt, which can be in the form of fermented shrimp or fish sauce, or just salt if it's vegan. Yep. Okay. And then ginger. Yep. Those are kind of common.
Do your kids like kimchi? Have they? Because like my kids, when they were little, it's funny that you said this too spicy thing, and you talked about fizzy water, because there's been many times that, ooh, spicy. It was just kind of funny because it's soda water.
Yes.
But do your kids do they appreciate the spice and the flavor?
My daughter does. She's my younger one. She's 5. And she constantly, one of the things she says most is, I like spicy. So that's kind of been a punchline with a lot of my food related TikToks as well. Okay. And my son, though, won't go anywhere near anything with the slightest bit of heat.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So he's, I have to train him up to be a better Korean.
But my showers are very hot.
But you like your showers hot. Well, I'm talking about heat as in spice.
What does your son like to eat? What's his, like, if I were to put him on right now and I were to say, what's your favorite meal? What's his answer?
Probably going to be chicken nuggets or mac and cheese or corn dogs.
Okay. And your daughter?
Rice and kimchi.
Wow. Kids are interesting, aren't they? Completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Just completely and it's awesome. Personalities are just completely different.
They're polar opposites in personalities, preferences, interests.
So if I were to call you up and say, hey, let's go out somewhere in the Seattle area, your kids get to pick. It's up to your kids. Mm-hmm. Where are they going to pick? Like, where your kids in the Seattle area want to go?
They would probably want to go to Molly Moon's for ice cream.
All right. Before you continue, what are they going to pick at Molly Moon's? What's the flavors that they're going to go towards?
My son always asks, and I think it's a seasonal flavor, if they have strawberry shortcake.
Okay.
And I think it is a seasonal flavor because most of the time I'm telling him, no, they've got strawberry, they've got melted chocolate. So he'll usually go for the chocolate with the sprinkles on a waffle cone.
All right.
And I'll tell him, okay, sprinkles are extra, waffle cone is they don't care. Right. Yeah. My daughter will always go for, she likes sorbets. So the last time she got the pink lemonade sorbet, which is also seasonal. Delicious, but a little bit scary when she's like in a white dress. And if they don't have that, she'll have the sweet cream or cookie dough with sprinkles on a waffle cone.
So extra and extra.
Yes. It costs a lot of money to for an ice cream run.
Just a few weeks ago, I had Molly Moon on, and she was great. And what a cool company! What a company that does really cool things. And some of her flavors, I got a kick out of her because I asked her, kind of like, what did you think was going to be a good idea? And it wasn't. And so
that's so
went
fun.
Down that rabbit hole of, this sounds like fun. And it wasn't. Or this, anyway. So they want to go for ice cream.
Yeah.
Well, all right. You mentioned in passing boba, and we talked about boba before we've recorded this. Do your kids like boba?
They love boba, but their idea of boba is not the traditional milk tea with the tapioca pearls. They like kind of the more kid friendly, I should say. So they're like blended drinks. So they're a mixture, like a cross between a milkshake and a smoothie. So they like those, or like slushies. And then they usually have like little fruit flavored jelly on the bottom. Okay. Yeah. But they love going. Do
you like boba?
I love boba.
So tell me what makes good boba in your opinion?
Well, really good milk tea. I don't like it too sweet, but it should be creamy, and it should be with not a ton of ice. So I ask for less ice. And it's really in the boba, which is the tapioca pearls. And so they are usually sweetened. So that's where I like to get the sweetness from. And most of these boba places, you can adjust the sugar level, like at any coffee shop, but you'll ask them, okay, a lot of them will do percentages. So you want regular just comes with 100%, how it comes, how the house makes it. I'll usually ask for 30 or 50%. If it's a new place and I've never been there and I don't know what their baseline sugar level is, I'll just ask for half. Half sweetened, less ice with boba. And I'll usually go for just the classic milk tea if it's a new place I'm trying out for the first time. And then from there, I'll kind of expand.
So where's a good boba place in the Seattle area? We
love this place called Drip Tea. It's in Capitol Hill. Okay. And they are super cool because they've got... they have like a little retail corner where they sell like hype pins. Sometimes they have, my husband really likes that place because he's a sneakerhead. So he likes to go and check out what new stuff they have, but it's a great,
it's one of those.
Yes. It's one of those. It's an experience, right? It's not your typical boba place. And they've got these cool artisan drinks. They'll get really creative. So they have one that I really like, which is called, I want to say it's called the Yellow Heart, but it's got mango milk, which is milk flavored with their mango jam. And then they've got tapioca pearls in there and mango, like some of the mango jam on the bottom. Okay. They've got this green tea strawberry drink, which is really good. And then my husband he'll always get the classic milk tea or the oolong milk tea with boba.
Okay. So I know very little about it. I mean, I've had it and not a connoisseur of it. So my experience with boba tea would be like if McDonald's served boba tea, that's the level.
I think McDonald's should. I mean, they should make it. No. Yeah.
No, don't know. Yeah, anyway, so I am not a connoisseur of it. All right. But I read maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. So before I say what I was going to say, but do these places that you like, are they making the pearls or are they buying the pearls?
So,
because I guess there's a little bit of like.
Sure. To my understanding, they import the pearls, but they prepare them in-house. They come dried.
So, right. So there's a shortage on tapioca and a shortage on the pearls that was causing a lot of, according to the article that I read, some boba places to really have a problem because they couldn't get the pearls or the tapioca. And that was, who would have thought of that as a byproduct of the pandemic, that we'd have a tapioca shortage?
Oh, yeah. I read that and panicked a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I was like, we got to go this weekend and get our boba fix.
But you also mentioned coffee. Are you a coffee fan?
I am a coffee fan. I'm not the connoisseur. My husband is.
Okay.
So I will drink whatever he has or whatever he makes me.
Okay. So what is your husband, if he's making coffee, what's he preparing? Are you drinking espresso drinks? Or are you drinking drip coffee?
He'll like a light to medium whole bean coffee. And he's going to be disappointed in me that I don't remember what's his favorite kind.
That's okay.
I think it's Nigerian. I'm not sure, but there are certain types of coffee that he likes. He's not a snob in terms of it has to come from this shop or,
I'm going to guess if he's, Ethiopian, maybe, African coffees. Because if he likes the lighter stuff, then some of the African coffees can be on the lighter side with more fruity.
He likes the fruitier notes. Sometimes I'll say, this tastes sour. And he'll say it's supposed to.
Yeah, then it is probably an African coffee that is his go-to.
Have you
preference.
Been to Heart in Portland?
I have not.
So that's one of his favorite places.
Okay.
So we'll always have to stop
jokingly, Oregon's dead to us for this show. Just kidding. How about okay. I've never even heard of Heart. So share with us a little bit about that place. Just because I want to know.
Well, all I know about them is that that's the coffee shop in Portland that my husband must stop by if we're driving down there or driving through Portland. And it's one of those places where he just gets like a pour over coffee, black. And that's how he likes it.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's great.
That's a delicious cup of coffee.
Yes, it is.
A delicious pour overs when done well, in my opinion, are a delicious way to have coffee. Mm-hmm. All right. It's Saturday afternoon. The last question, I'll put you on the spot. Saturday afternoon, your husband looks at you and goes, let's go out to dinner tonight. Two questions. With kids, without. Where do you want to go?
With kids?
One you get one answer with one with the kids, one without kids.
Let's see. One with the kids, we would probably go to Din Tai Fung.
Okay.
Get the dumplings, the green beans, all of that. That's always a crowd pleaser. Without the kids, we like going to places where there's other things to do, like walk around. So we really like going to downtown Edmonds.
Okay.
and just walking along the shops, seeing the water, like going to the water. And there was a Salt and Iron in downtown Edmonds.
Okay.
They do really good, it's called Salt and Iron. So they do like surf and turf, like seafood and steaks. Yep.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we'll wrap this up with a question about you and TikTok and the future. What do you think you will keep doing? Do you have any, I don't want to say plans. That sounds really like, but what do you think will happen now that we're getting back to normal? Mm-hmm. Do you envision still doing TikTok, and what does that look? What do you think that's going to look like for you moving forward?
That's a great question. I think the way I see TikTok, as far as the role it plays in my life now, really is evolving now that we're getting back to normal. Now that I am having more responsibilities outside of the home, and I'm not just, on my phone or cooped up with hours to think about making content. I think it will continue to be a pastime, something that I want to do for fun. Mm-hmm. But I think it is leading to other opportunities outside of the platform, in my community in particular, where I can, actually do some good or be of some use. So one example is serving on my PTA this coming year as the community outreach person.
Okay.
And so that's something that, really I want to serve and be in my community, right? And be mm-hmm. just an engaged person in my community. I don't want to be this personality on social media and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. So I think I will always keep it as an outlet, but I never wanted to feel like that's what I do. And that's my job, and that's my work, and that's who I am.
Okay. Very good. We'll wrap this up by allowing you to say, to kind of just totally disregard everything you just said. Where can they find you on TikTok?
Sure.
But where can people find, if they want to go check out your videos, the Too Spicy and all of that stuff, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me under Jane Parr Kang. And what I did was I merged together my two last names. My maiden name is Park, P-A-R-K. My husband's name is Kang, like kangaroo, K-A-N-G. And so it's Jane Parr Kang, P-A-R-K-A-N-G. And that's where I am.
All right. Well, thank you for getting on and having this conversation with me. It's really cool to hear this. I just think it's fascinating, really, the fact that, you just started as a way of, trying to maintain some sanity. I guess I'll paraphrase for you, as an outlet, just something. And then you've turned it into this, you're deepening your connections with your kids, maybe with your husband when you drag, I don't know. I mean, kidding, but it's that you've been, and then you've shared it with people and they're finding it to be entertaining and engaging. And that's awesome. And so congratulations to you. And and you can have the last word, whatever it might be.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been such an honor, Scott. And I think I'm so glad. I feel like we connected at a really timely period at the start of summer, because my goal is really to explore this state. And I think Washington has so many wonderful things to offer. There is a lot of hope and optimism in the air because things are opening up. People are getting vaccinated. My parents are thinking about coming out here again. So there's just so much that I want to do. We're eager. We've been here for 2 years, but we feel like we're just now starting to make Washington State our home. So we're really just looking forward to growing here and really just becoming like members of our community.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, Scott.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.